Yeah, yeah. They got into it. These two old niggas got into it. Corey Holcomb and Anton Daniels. Yeah, they got into it on the 5150 show, Corey Holcomb's show. I saw the whole thing, and I saw a whole lot of emotion. I saw a whole lot of pent up hostility, but I also saw a whole lot of other things as well. A lot of misinformation was going out, a whole lot of misinformation. Anton Daniels, as y'all know, he's a YouTuber who has a show, and he has quite a few million, I think 1 million followers, something like that. And he's very controversial in his take on pretty much everything, especially black people. He calls himself a Christian because when Corey Holcomb asked him, I don't know why Corey Holcomb even invited this dude on the show, and you know, and I guess I don't know if it was for ratings or they wanted to do a cross platform thing, but according to what Corey Holcomb claims he stands for and what this dude actually stands for, they don't mesh, and I don't understand why Corey didn't do his due diligence and check this dude out if he did or he didn't. Or maybe he did and he wanted to get this little debate going, because you only asking for problems when you get people on your platform who are totally, disagreeable to anything that's progressive. I listen to Anton Daniels, like I said, I hear some things that he say that's on point. Then other things he said is off point. I agree with what he said about not being black people. That's a construct of white people. That's true. But then when he said, Corey Holcomb asked him, do you consider yourself, he said, then he said, well, what do you consider yourself? He said, I'm a Christian. I believe in God and Christ. There's no Jesus and there's no God, first and foremost. That's a construct of the Catholic Church. So before we start talking about constructs of white people, Jesus and God are a construct of the Catholic Church. There is no such thing. And for a person who claims he's so smart, you would think he would know that. But most of you black Christians don't know that or don't care to know. You just want to believe. Then Corey Holcomb goes into this whole, we came over here from Africa on slave ships, and I didn't get here on no airplane and all whatever nonsense. He starts talking about Africa this and Africa that. What kills me about a lot of these people who claim and believe we come from Africa, these people never take a trip to Africa. These people never try to find out where they supposedly come from in Africa. They don't do any of that. They just believe that they come from Africa and that's it. There's way more to that. Again, black Americans are not even Africans. They're indigenous to America. But that's a whole nother thing. I'm not going to get off into that. So he goes on to basically go play the whole African slave ship, opera that I get sick and tired of hearing. I hate to hear uninformed, misinformed people, uneducated people on the real story of what happened about our people being indigenous. I hate hearing people talk like this. It's real cringy in 2026 when all this knowledge is out here on the internet about black Americans really being the indigenous Americans of America, the real Americans. We're not black-skinned people or none of that. So it's kind of cringy to hear it coming out from men who are in their 50s. So then as time goes on, of course, Corey accuses him of being a white ass kisser. That was Corey Holcomb's words, right? And he then in turn referred to him as Corey Holcomb as a dick sucker of black people. This is the word he used. And we all know Corey has this trigger switch when it comes to homosexuality and any kind of, homosexual LGBT type of association or behavior. He likes to stay far away from that. And, I hear that with a lot of these guys who, these young guys with the no homo thing and all this stuff, and they have this phobia, it seems like, for gay people, or this kind of, fear for it. And maybe I might be a little off in saying fear, but it is a kind of a fear because being that Corey Holcomb lives out in California and he moves around California and in the industry. He himself has said that the industry is full of LGBT type of people. He constantly makes fun of LGBT down low black men in Hollywood, right? And you know, he never really states the obvious, because he talks about, he once said that if you making all this money in Hollywood as a so-called black man, then you got your ass banged out. But I noticed he never included Kevin Hart in that. Which makes him a hypocrite, because he talk about all these black males who had to bend over or do some weird shit in Hollywood with moist people, but he never mentions Kevin Hart or any activity with him allegedly, because Kevin Hart got to go in there too. Tyler Perry, all them people that he done worked with. And I mean, I guess he know what it is. He want to keep, he wants some kind of, as he say, lick or some sort of monetary thing or association with these people, roles, whatever. But so as this thing goes on, and they going back and forth, and Corey took offense to the whole Anton calling him a dick sucker. And like I said, we all know Corey has this trigger switch when it comes to homosexuality. I've often, said to myself, he focuses way too much on that, and talks too much about that. So obviously it's in his head. I'm not saying he ever did anything, no, but he says some questionable stuff, just like Tariq Nasheed says some questionable shit. All these guys say questionable stuff. I don't know if it's the air out there in California or what. They seem to be open to that sodomite talk, which I'm not cool with at all. They open to that LGBT sodomite talk and energy and stuff, and just certain things they say. So, that it became, it almost turned into a fight. Corey wanted to fight him. Now, personally, I think Corey, if he would have called Corey Holcomb a dick sucker again, I think Corey, he's one of them type of guys that got to be forced to fight. But, Corey Holcomb, please stop getting in or acting like you want to get into fights. You don't want to fight nobody. When Zoe challenged you to walk out and fight, you didn't go. When you claimed you was going to see, or when you run into Stephen A. Smith, you ran into him and you ate chicken with him. And now on the third go around, you didn't go out there with Anton Daniels. And that don't make you a punk. That just means you don't want to fight. And you really don't. So stop acting like you want to fight. But I do believe Corey would have punched him in his face if he would have said it again. He would have had to. But he already said it enough. What you should have did, Corey, like a grown man in his 50s, you about 56, 57 years old, you go along my age, I'm 55. What you should have did was say, all right, man, that's it. That's the end of the interview. All right, that's it, bro. You disrespected me. Get up out of here before it's a problem. I wouldn't even got up in his face, because if you're not going to do nothing, you ain't going to punch him in his face. I'm like, that's it, man. We done. We done here. Wrap this shit up. That's it. Goodbye. That's it. Go ahead before something happened to you, because I'm not trying to go to jail and all this other stuff. And you too old to be rolling around this for fighting in the street. You and him. And, this the same guy who had Fleece Johnson, the booty warrior. He's popular on internet now, YouTube, talking about his prison homosexual encounters. He was up here pushing up on this dude. He was up there pushing up on flirting with Anton Daniels. So I'm like, he didn't check this dude. He found it funny. I don't understand what's funny about that. He didn't check Fleece Johnson. It wouldn't even been. I'm like, we ain't got nothing to talk about, dude. But anyway, y'all two need to, y'all too old for this. That was my thought when I seen these two niggas going there. I was like, y'all too old for this, man. Y'all too old to be acting like y'all gonna fight and all this other shit. And man, what are y'all 10-year-olds on the playground? Men kill each other, man. Men unalive each other. Men unalive each other. They don't be up there fighting and whatnot. Ain't no telling what somebody got. There's no telling. Men unalive each other, man. Men don't just go out in fights like that and catch fades like that no more. Because you ain't no telling what somebody got. Even though I don't think that would have happened with them. But again, stop acting like y'all gonna fight when y'all really wasn't gonna fight. That was really like, I don't know. It started to make me think it was for the camp. I mean, I know it was real, but y'all need to knock it off, man. And Corey, stop challenging people to fights. You know you don't want to fight. But Good show anyway. Change your topics on 5150. All right, Corey, out.